They told you it was your patriotic duty. They told you it was safe. They told you it would help win the war. What they didn't tell you was that you would never really get your money back. Because the war bond wasn't just a fundraising tool, it was one of the most brilliant psychological tricks in financial history. A way to turn citizens into lenders, loyalty into liquidity, and patriotism into profit, just not yours. Wealth where money, power, and history collide, and nothing is ever as simple as it looks. This is the story of how governments learned to sell war as an investment, and how ordinary people, trying to do the right thing, ended up bankrolling the first global financial illusion. The year was 1914. Europe was exploding, and the governments leading millions into chaos were about to discover something terrifying. They were broke. Modern war wasn't knights or glory. It was steel, fuel, artillery, logistics, the industrialization of death. Every bullet had a price. Every tank had a mortgage. Britain, France, Germany, their gold reserves drained faster than the blood on the front lines. So they turned to something new. Not soldiers, not colonies. Citizens. Before World War I, regular people never dealt with government debt. Bonds were toys for bankers and aristocrats, but now governments faced a choice: raise taxes and spark revolt, or make people want to give them money. The solution was genius and sinister. Turn debt into patriotism. In Britain, war loans posters covered cities. A soldier stared. If you cannot fight, financen in Germany and Kriegsanleihen, war loans. Citizens lined up to buy victory. And in America, it became theater. Uncle Sam pointing, marching bands. Celebrities. Children told that every coin saved helped bring their fathers home. War wasn't just a cause. It became a subscription plan. Liberty bonds seemed simple. Lend the government money now. Get it back with interest later. But the fine print hid the knife. You'd be repaid in dollars, not in purchasing power. When the war ended, inflation exploded. Prices in the U.S. almost doubled between 1917 and 1920. A $100 bond repaid at full value could now buy half as much. You got your money back, but your wealth was gone. Across Europe, Britain, war loan paid 5%, but inflation erased 60% of it. Germany, hyperinflation turned patriotic savers into beggars. The public weren't victims of defeat, they were victims of arithmetic. War bonds weren't designed to enrich the citizen, they were designed to keep the machine running, and governments knew exactly what they were doing. Bond drives weren't financial campaigns, they were moral campaigns. Posters didn't mention interest rates, they mentioned heroes. Buying a bond wasn't a transaction, it was an act of faith. And faith is the most profitable currency a government can issue. Citizens thought they were buying victory, but the government was really buying time. When peace finally came, governments were buried under mountains of IOUs. Defaulting would expose the lie, so they changed the rules. Britain converted short-term debt into consols, bonds that paid tiny interest forever and never matured. A century later, in 2015, Britain finally paid off its World War I debt. America refinanced Liberty bonds into the massive U.S. Treasury machine. The emergency tool of 1917 became the permanent engine of government finance. The war ended, the debt never did. After 1945, the old empires were broken, but a new empire rose, built not on conquest, but on credit. The U.S. Treasury market became the world's safe haven. The dollar replaced gold, and countries everywhere adopted America's model: borrow endlessly, inflate silently, repeat. What began as wartime propaganda became the architecture of global finance. Your mortgage, your mutual fund, your national debt, all of it rests on the same idea. Trust the debt. The slogans changed. The psychology didn't. Green bonds, recovery bonds, defense bills, build back better, stimulus now, debt later. Different wars. Same mechanism. Governments borrow with your money, sell it back to you as moral duty, and tell you it's for stability. Instead of Uncle Sam posters, you get economists on TV. Instead of soldiers, you get climate goals and national resilience. But the message is identical. Lend us your future so we can save the present. The truth behind war bonds isn't about numbers. It's about belief. Before 1914, people trusted gold. After 1918, they trusted the state. That psychological shift is the real legacy. Because once people believe debt is safe, governments can borrow forever. If people believe the promise, the money is infinite. And belief isn't free. We pay for it through inflation, stagnation, and widening inequality. Because when a government learns it can always borrow from tomorrow, it stops being careful with today. The posters once said, "If you can't fight, finance." A century later, it's no longer a slogan. It's a system. The world still runs on war bonds. We just stopped calling them that. If this gave you a new perspective, hit subscribe. History has the answers, and I'll show you where to look.